Okay, so I have the full spectrum color, the purple, in the shadows of the fur, and that helps. But because it's full spectrum, I could also go the other way, and I could add a little bit of orange on top. Make it very subtle. And it's easy to overdo the full spectrum coloring. And a little goes a long way, right? But with that orange and the reddish browns and the purples, this is definitely full spectrum now. And realize it's all happening very much underneath the line work. The line work is still perfectly clean on top, right? But notice how it starts to really read as its own without the line work now. And maybe I add a little bit of that brighter orange to the Ritz crackers in just some places, give a little bit of soft edge. And since the crackers are already just variations in orange, that's really just a soft edge duotone treatment of them instead of full spectrum. Putting green into the Ritz crackers, which is the complement of orange, would make it really full spectrum, but I think that would be a little weird looking maybe. But I might use it maybe in the shadow behind this cracker. And definitely actually under the foot of Putin here, so it really looks like he's casting a shadow on it. So I can use green, same thing. Make that kind of full spectrum. Maybe a less saturated, darker green. And again, you don't have to use your swatches. You can always modify from what's here. And if you know your color theory, the complements, when they mix together, actually go towards middle gray. And so that automatically, even though the individual colors might be very strong, they automatically start to desaturate each other. So if I'm seeing too much green, I just put orange back on top of it and knock it back down. So we have all of these varied options. And now I'm basically just painting behind line work, using any colors I want, because this is full spectrum. Now what about his eyes? Which we want to be this penetrating blue. Can we use full spectrum color for that? Maybe, they're tiny. I think we have to use something else for that. But for the emblem, I can put some of this more powerful red in, and maybe some purplish red. Maybe even some orange to make this really come alive in some respects. Right, so now that's really, really kind of showing off. But I want to be careful not to, it's tricky with soft edge brushes, not to weaken the effect of the flat colors and the hard edge duotone colors you've already picked. So let me erase out that sickle again. All right, so with his eyes, there's not enough room really to play with the color. I can give it maybe a duotone and do a slight darker blue, soft edged. Make them look like pools of water. But to really give them presence, to make them kind of glow, I have to color on top of the line work. And so to do that, I just make a new layer, and I'm going to call this my color holds on top of the line work. And I'm going to paint to modify the blacks underneath, the black lines underneath. And when a color changes the line work a little bit. Like this glowing effect that I'm going to get. See how that eye feels very different than this eye now, because the black line work is getting affected, kind of overturned. And that is what we call a color hold. I can give him a brighter highlight there. And color holds don't have to always be soft edged either. To match with the other eye, I'm just going to select all that painting that was done on top of the black lines. Copy it, paste it, move it over as a color hold on top of the other eye. The glowing eyes of Putin. And we see this done a lot, maybe not with blue eyes. We often see it with red eyes, right? Kind of the glowing eyes of Superman. And it would just be, Putin is very angry. His eyes start to glow, shoots lasers, then they go back. So these kind of effects are not at all uncommon in our visual language. I can also use the color holds to kind of shift where he's looking, just by moving them slightly. And I like him looking kind of with a vacant stare off in the distance. All right. So now we have full spectrum color. Just in selected places, we have color holds in his eyes. Maybe I'll give a little bit of a color hold to his hair. Just because his hair is not really very solid. It's silvery. And the other way we can use color holds is just to replace all the black lines with something different. So now he looks kind of too old with his hair like that. And the black lines look odd. So what if I now copy all of the black lines, and then like I did with the layer styles for the blue eyes, simply do a color overlay of the black eyes, or the black lines, and change it to another color. Like a golden brown. And then I can play with the opacity of that too. Mix it in with the black lines. Or turn off the black lines underneath. And that brown actually helps. In some ways. Maybe I want it just a little more subtle. Let more of the black come through. And if I'm being really, really particular, I would change the color overlay around the metal to be a different color than it is around the skin, to be a different color than it is around the fur. And you can just put a lot of work into it, replacing your black outlines with individual colors. And it basically amounts to digital painting. All right, so that's about as much as I want to do with this Putin illustration as just a spot illustration. I'm going to cut off the top of these eyes a little bit. softly erase away from them a tiny bit. There we go. So now, what else can I do to make this spot illustration really versatile? Well, this on a white background, it reads okay. I think I might want to soften with a color hold his brow line, because his hairline is receding. So let's lighten up this as well. And maybe on the temple, maybe that's not quite so strong. And on these highlight sides of his harness, I can just brighten those lines a little bit. Remember, this is all a color hold is painting on top of your black lines. But just like full spectrum, it's easy to overdo because we have to remember that we're not actually painting here. And that's why I like to do it on different layers so that I can see how much of an effect I actually want it to have. Okay, so now I want to make sure it's as versatile as possible, which means I basically have to try it on different backgrounds and see how it works. Make sure that it works. And just like I'm doing a color hold here to make it a little bit lighter in some places, I can do a color hold that makes it darker in some places. Because I've changed the black lines to brown, so if I start darkening them back to black in certain areas, like under this foot, it will feel more dramatic and dark. Okay, so now to test it on the different backgrounds, so with color holds. And maybe erase back some of that so he still has some presence in his face. Good, okay. Now let's try it on a black background. Now you see how the color holds, the line work is visible on the black background. But here it looks odd, right? So I have to clean it up. So how can I clean up around? Well, I go to my line work vector layers, which I can't modify, but I can select outside of them and then just delete. Use that selection and delete. Oops, it's too much. For anywhere I painted beyond the edges. So then I go to my color holds layer, I just delete from that, and it will automatically clean up those outside edges. And I can also do that on the soft edge duotone layer, all these different layers. I don't want anything right at the edge. Whoops. I selected the belly without wanting to. Let me deselect the belly. It's because of that opening right there. The great strength of digital illustration is that you can modify all of these things and go back and play with them. Strengthen them as you go. So there we have it on black. That works okay. Let's try on gray. Yep, that works pretty well. Bring back a little bit more tone to that arm. Now, what can I do to make it even more effective, especially on the darker colors? Well, I'm going to turn off all the background, so it's just a floating image. right?